The Biden administration, Charles, went against what I believe was the better judgment of many in Congress and the United States Senate on both sides of the aisle, who said he should not give Ukraine cluster bombs, even though Russia has been accused of using those very weapons against the Ukrainian citizens and the Ukrainian military in that war. America has decided under President Biden to give Ukraine these cluster bombs. And many in the United Nations, our sister countries, our allies, have outlawed the use of cluster weapons and bombs in particular. I think it's a mistake what Joe Biden is doing. And I think that we should not be in that war to that degree, but to give them the very bombs that even we agree should not be a part of warfare is to say indirectly to Russia, we're at war with you.
Well, social media has painted a portrait that often isn't painted of warmongering, of true suffering and death of civilians, women, children, of men being terrified, asked to serve in a capacity where they're not ready and they're not trained. And of course, I'll tell you, the one interesting thing is no one's arguing for this newfound overemphasis on gender fluidity when it comes to warmongering, right? Because war is hell. And we are being sold the need for World War III by a globalist cabal. I know this sounds like some crazy Alex Jones nonsense, but it's not. We've seen Joe Biden's administration call up 3,000 reserves, issue an order to call up 3,000 reserves, and they've spun it as, oh, well, this is better for accessibility and availability. This is better for military families. But what this is about participating in a new NATO movement to provide 300,000 troops just in case. And the truth is we already have special forces on the ground in the Ukraine. We have the CIA on the ground in the Ukraine, and we're being told a host of lies about American involvement that will end with our sons and daughters losing their lives in yet another foreign war that has been going on now for decades, right? We've been at war since the early 1990s, and it never stops. Why? Because it's the war machine, the military-industrial complex that has somehow lost trillions of dollars, billions of dollars that can't be defined or audited, have gone to the Ukraine. And of course, the Biden administration refused just this weekend to answer questions about the suspension of the democracy in the Ukraine by the existing government.
And that's deep.
Well, yeah,
that is
horrible.
Extremely deep, because now what we are doing in the United States government is supporting a government that has really literally suspended the Constitution. They have taken away the democracy from its government, and so now what do they have there? Dictatorship? What do they have there that we can support and say that justifies us supporting them at the rate that we're doing? The American people are sick and tired, Charles, of sending billions of dollars to Ukraine, and no one in the Biden administration can show us where the vital security interest of America is at stake with Russia and Ukraine war. Why is that so important to us? We should not be in Ukraine the way that we are, but I believe that Russia is preparing to support one of our enemies closer to home, also the same way we're supporting one of theirs closer to home with Ukraine.
Well, China doesn't have the economic or military might to start a global war. In fact, I think that this is clearly Putin. And let's not forget, I mean, you can condemn the Ukraine, I can criticize the Biden administration's policies, but this is all downstream from the horrible despot that has run Russia with an iron grip, even when he constitutionally wasn't allowed, by putting a proxy in place for decades. And Putin is a product of the KGB, and he is incredibly evil. They think he is the wealthiest man in the world. He has stolen more vast wealth and murdered more people for speech he doesn't agree with all around the world.
He's a former KGB agent.
Vladimir Putin is a disgusting pig. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be using diplomacy to try to resolve this. And remember, it's the Biden administration that shut down diplomatic efforts and is forcing war. And at the end of the day, this feels like we're going to have more American troops.
Why is he forcing war?
Well, he's forcing war for two reasons, right? He wants to show Putin that he can't, expand across Europe.
He has low ratings, and he's seeking re-election. Every president that has had very low ratings, like Joe Biden, would always try to take America into some type of war, proxy war, to boost his ratings for re-election.
This isn't a war that's going to boost anyone's ratings, right? This is the jingoism
If he can
has
paint
failed.
Putin as being an enemy and a demon to American interests and American security, he can do
But
that.
despite, and I mean, Putin is an enemy to European interests, American interests, especially to the Ukrainian people.
But not to
where
the
he's
American
murdering
people right here.
Right. Well, America has kind of have war fatigue. We've been being fed this jingoism, this nonsense that we have to send our young men and women to die in the sand.
We have not won a war since how long?
Again,
we didn't win Vietnam. We did not win in Afghanistan. The Taliban is back in power using billions of dollars of American weapons and supplies we left behind, and we cut a deal with them after we claimed that we don't negotiate with terrorists, and yet we said the Taliban was one of the world's leading terrorists under that Mujahideen leadership that is still in place right now today. Mullah Omar and the boys, Mullah's dead, but those who follow his theocracy, his ideology are still in power. The Taliban's in power. They're stripping women of rights, and they're committing all of the crimes they promised America and the Biden administration they would not commit once they left them in power and America left. So how we have won Afghanistan, Iraq, Vietnam.
Well,
we're not winning these wars.
We won in Iraq, but what the thing is, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is we're trying to force the Middle East to stop being run by despots that murder people wantonly, that treat women as they're less than human, that throw gay people in cages and burn them alive like we saw in Iran.
Is that Saudi Arabia?
Okay. Oh yeah, you can. Don't even get me started on the South.
America's best friend.
Right? But the thing is, yeah, we don't do anything there because of oil, right? It's all disgusting hypocrisy. But the truth is that in the Middle East, in many Muslim-run countries, not all of them, but many of them, you see a horrible lack of civil rights. But the question is, how is that America's business? Why has America spent so many trillions of dollars? In America today, well, we could have universal health care for all citizens instead of, if you enter the country illegally, well, you're going to get free health care. But us citizens that get up and pay taxes, we don't get anything. We could have quality education. Biden administration has announced they're giving a new handout, right? A new, let me forgive your student loans. Instead of saying, hey, let's have a forward-thinking program where people haven't taken on debt and say, hey, we're going to give more assistance to people seeking undergraduate degrees, vocational education, and professional degrees at in-state public universities. But we're not doing anything to fix anything. And the truth is, you're probably right about warmongering, because warmongering creates wealth for the powers that be. There's a reason we are being led into this war, and there's a reason that, of course, diplomacy has been stymied. Because any act of diplomacy that might resolve this is seen as it's bending the knee to a tyrant that is Putin. But it doesn't necessarily mean that.
Do you
right?
think that Putin would have pulled this stunt if Trump was in office?
I think that Putin and Trump's relationship probably led Putin to wait till he was out of office.
So Putin believes that Biden is weak, and that anybody can challenge Biden because he has a weak foreign policy and he doesn't have the testicular fortitude to deal with a Putin like Trump did.
America is not weak. It is disturbing.
Oh, Biden is weak.
It is disturbing to hear.
Where's our vice president?
It is disturbing.
Have you seen her?
Well, I mean, really.
She's been missing in action for how long?
She's been just on the microphone saying incredibly stupid stuff constantly. But you can't criticize Kamala Harris because,
why?
Well, that's the new rules, right? She's a woman. She's a woman of color. If you criticize her and call her stupid, well, that's racist, right? Instead of her
you
just
can criticize her with the facts and then don't care what they call you.
The truth is, like Tommy Tuberville, what a despicable racist idiot. And we should all be able to say Tommy Tuberville is a despicable racist idiot who trotted out white nationalism like he's too stupid to know what it means. But Kamala Harris also has a penchant for saying incredibly stupid stuff. And she has a little penchant for bigotry. But it all goes unsaid by the mainstream media because we don't. But hey, America, right now, we're running, our government, our military is running out of ammunition. That's why we're giving cluster bombs, because we're low on ammunition. Why on earth? And of course, who are they blaming? They're blaming the Trump administration.
We didn't know we were low after the Afghanistanian war. We didn't know we was low after we left Iraq. And we didn't know. So how in the hell we got the money to give tens of billions to Ukraine when we already low on the necessary military needs that we need to protect America?
Tens of billions is nothing but a drop in the bucket for our absurd budget. But my problem with the federal budget is how little it does for wage-earning working-class Americans. And that's the real issue, right? We need to do more for those of us that get up and work every day. And we don't need a new war that's going to result in the deaths of thousands of American children, right? That's going to, our teenagers, young adults. We don't need a new war that's going to involve American involvement. And the media is giving the Biden administration, as it always does with Democrats for the last 2 decades, a complete pass. No one is screaming and crying about the need to peace. In fact, the number of Democrats that are signing on for warmongering is shocking. But
That's right.
You also have Republicans like Tom
Because
Cotton.
it's a good
Tom
way
Cotton's
to help
beating
Biden
the
get
drum.
reelected.
But there's plenty of Republicans beating the drum for war
Because
in
their
Ukraine
super rich
too.
friends benefit from war. It is a high dollar industry when
It's the
America goes
highest
to war.
dollar industry.
When America
It
goes
is
to
the
war.
highest dollar industry. Let's talk about all the, you know,
But-
before
but the everyday
Cheney,
working man and woman don't benefit
where
from
did,
that.
Where did Cheney come from?
Halliburton.
And how much money did Halliburton make off the
defense
wars in the
contracts,
Middle
that's right.
East? Quanell, the truth is that plenty of Republicans have also led this country into horrible wars that should have never happened. The war in Iraq should have never happened. George W. Bush was mad, but reasonably angered by the fact that Saddam Hussein tried to assassinate his father, which isn't something
so
to
he's
be
taking America to
unreasonable.
war for that.
But we don't need to have, millions of Iraqi civilians died. Thousands of American soldiers died. And it was a horrible cost that this country will not stop paying for decades, right? And the disabilities, because it's the one thing. Well, in war,
American
we've gotten
people-
better about saving lives.
But the American people
but that means
should be
more people are living
demanding
with disabilities.
that the American government stop wasting money on wars that America is not winning.
I agree.
And these wars are not benefiting the masses of the American people. Take that money and reinvest into the American people. That's what they
absolutely
should
agree.
do with that
I
money.
am completely for providing some economic
America
assistance
first.
to the Ukraine. Well, it's nice to hear you say America first. I agree with the idea of nationalism, not white nationalism like Tommy Tuberville, but nationalism for all Americans of all races, colors,
he
creeds,
didn't know he
and
was
religions.
with the Klan.
Yeah.
He didn't know who they were.
he-
They had Nazi tattoos.
I love
on
it in
them. He didn't know he was
response.
with the Klan.
Well, I was a football coach, and I was good friends with a lot of black players. It's so nice, Tommy, that you had black friends. It doesn't make you not a
That's
racist.
deep you brought that up.
Yeah.
That's deep you brought that up.
Yeah, I mean, that's
He's a former, well-known college football coach.
he is.
And many of his black players who played for him are heartbroken today.
Well, no, many of them actually supported him and said, he's trotted out,
But
not many,
some,
but a
but
few.
some of them are
No, it's
heartbroken to
disgusting.
know
But at the
that he
end
really
of
felt
the
like
day,
that.
Quanell, the truth is that yes, nationalism. We need to make America love America again. We have so many Americans that hate America, but yet so many people are pouring in from all over the world to get here because they realize this is a land of opportunity. But yet we're being told by the left, there's no opportunity. And of course, the right is trying to create mechanisms to just let the rich stay rich and the poor stay poor. So we're all getting screwed. We're getting screwed. And that's why really we all need to stop giving money to politicians. We all need to stop advocating for policies that don't.
You've talked about that. The United
But
States
let's
Supreme
stop
Court,
having war at the
the
first
Supreme
of it.
Court had the power to stop it. They chose not to.
About what?
About how much money is donated to politicians through financial campaign contributions.
Well, that was decades
corporate
ago.
America.
Yes.
But the problem is, we now see why the Supreme Court don't want to stop corporate dollars going to politicians.
Well, the
Because
truth
they
is-
bankrolling secretly some of our Supreme Court justices.
But the truth is,
multi-million-dollar
Quanell,
vacations.
that we are being
You believe
led.
that?
We are being led by the media and by dishonest politicians on both the left and the right into another global war that is going to have. And while we're also being told, oh my goodness, the environment is so bad, you need to turn your AC up, and you shouldn't travel so much. We need 15-minute cities. We need this. We need that. But it's all about status control. And I know that sounds crazy, but what we need as Americans to do, we need to say, hey, we're tired of our children dying at war. We're tired of spending all this money on war, and it's time to start redirecting some funds for the people that get up every day, and drive to work to pay taxes to keep this thing afloat. We need to stop making the horrible people, putting them on a pedestal.
I want to say to the American people, if Joe Biden starts another war, do not allow him to send your sons and daughters unless he's putting his dope fiend crackhead son, Hunter Biden, on the front line with him. I'll be damned. You would allow your children to be sent to a foreign battlefield when Joe Biden will not allow that deadbeat daddy, dope fiend, crackhead son of his to be on the front line fighting for America's interests either. In fact, what his son will be doing is selling more access to his daddy, get rich. So don't let him send your children.
Well, I did love the photo of Hunter driving the Porsche in Death Valley while smoking crack and taking a picture of this, or meth, I don't know, some glass pipe.
Good Lord.
But the truth is,
Lord.
Biden is, he often trots out the memory of his son Beau and refers to him as killed in combat, which is not the case. He did get cancer, and Biden has made the argument that it was tied to burn pits, but there's not really anything causally linking it. But he had a son that served, and the Biden family has known some tremendous tragedy throughout the course of Biden's life and his children's life, and it's sad and it's heartbreaking, right? But at some point,
Man, quit being nice to him.
No, but at some
that
point,
man came
hold
out,
on,
and I'm ending on this. That man came out after his son was indicted for real crimes that he should have went to prison for, and said this: "I'm proud of my son."
Okay, he actually didn't get indicted for real crimes because there was a backdoor deal
sure,
that made
right?
sure he didn't
I
get
stand
it.
corrected. You're right. That was a sweetheart deal. You're right.
It was a sweetheart deal designed to protect him from real consequence. And
he said, "I'm proud of my son."
Clearly, the Biden family is at least as corrupt as the Trump family. But you see the lemmings of this world, the lemmings of this nation.
Well, wait a minute.
Biden
looks more corrupt than Trump family.
Look,
Because they got real proof where Biden's brothers, Biden's son, and family members were all selling access to the big guy and giving cuts of the money to the big guy.
Do you think that the Saudis gave Jared Kushner $2 billion because he's an investing genius?
No, they gave him $2 billion for the same reason they paid Hunter Biden's son.
Right.
Access to Papa.
That's true. They're both completely corrupt. And what we do in America is the right gets you all mad about, the books of the trans issues, and the left gets you all mad, they're anti-LGBT. These issues that they want, we need to defund the police, we need more police, public safety, you shouldn't worry about your stuff being stolen because of your privilege, and all this nonsense.
Keep us distracted.
It's all designed to keep us angry because we don't have nationalized health care. Oh my God, socialism. We have horrible schools in this country where public safety is in shambles. We're not doing a damn thing for working American citizens. And in the big cities, it's the very worst, right? And who suffers the most? Poor people of color. But of course, the Democrats do a very good job at inciting people about concerns of poor people of color by not fixing anything. And of course, the Republicans don't give a damn about people of color. So we're almost reasonable people are just sitting here saying, hey, I don't want to go to another war.
The Democratic
couldn't y'all do some stuff for us?
It's nothing but a wolf in sheep's clothing.
The Republican Party ain't any better.
Now, the Republican Party,
it's not any better.
They just a straight up.
I know you've crawled in their lap,
Cobra snake.
Okay.
A straight up king cobra snake and dealing with black people. At least we know what we're dealing with when we see them. But that damn poodle, the Democratic Party, that comes to us looking like a poodle ain't nothing but a wolf. Neither party really cares about the American people. Neither. They care about special interests and they care about the rich. Both parties.
I don't